name's Dave Richins. I'm from Mesa, Arizona, and I'm a council member in District 1. I got involved in Mesa neighborhood issues about 10 years ago exactly. A group of neighbors and I got together, we put together a plan called A Focused Future. And then we set about executing that plan. We formed Mesa's first community development corporation, and that's where I got my start, as I was the first executive director of that group. And so with that plan in place, we set about, okay, we need to make sure that we have good shopping opportunities, we have to make sure we have good schools, and we celebrate the cultural amenities that we have in our community as well as good parks. So we started working on those things, and as that started gaining momentum, I had the opportunity to run for city council and won. We really focused on attracting educational opportunities. We had low educational attainment levels. We've attracted 4 new liberal arts universities to our downtown that will be opening up in 2013. And we're reutilizing city buildings that they've been vacant for several years. One of them's an old courthouse, converting those old courthouses into classrooms and taking the opportunity to try to raise that educational attainment level. I think it really will go a long way for Mesa because the better education you have, the better employers you can attract. You don't have to subsidize the grocery store. You don't have to subsidize getting a certain retailer in town. When you have good employment, when you have a highly educated workforce, those things come on their own. And so you need to be careful about how you make those investments in revitalization, not just subsidizing the one-off, because when those subsidies run out, they go. Those entities leave. You have to really focus on changing the culture. In our current zoning scheme, you have a building with a big sea of parking all around it, and those are each one of those buildings stands out. But when you get into something with more form-based, you focus on the way that building interacts with the street, the way the building interacts with the buildings around it, and it changes that dynamic a little bit, and so things start blending in. Form-based code is really about maximizing market opportunity. If you can get the outside of that building looking right and have it fitting into a community, whether it's a pawn shop, a tattoo parlor, or a jewelry store, doesn't matter as much because it fits in a context. Capitalizing on that, downtown redevelopment has been a big deal. Downtown is that unique walkable neighborhood. Having strong neighborhoods in our community has helped do things like pass the financing package for the Art Center, passes the school bonds to keep the schools successful and vibrant. It also helps keep crime down. I love this trend about front porches and outdoor engagement of your neighbors in the front yard instead of the backyard. And I think that's starting to change the dynamics in some of our newer neighborhoods. But in our older neighborhoods, there's a lot of areas that have that kind of front porch. And so you see your neighbors walk by, you talk to them, you get to know them. And that is really what builds community. As we develop neighborhoods, we need to think about how people age and how we can either redevelop our existing homes or add to the housing stock within a neighborhood to allow seniors to have options for people to be able to age and stay in their neighborhood so they can have that same social dynamic. That's great for their health outcomes. It's great for avoiding issues like Alzheimer's and those kind of things. Having that familiarity around them is going to be important. So how do you solve that? Do you allow for a granny flat? Do you allow more building the lot coverage ratio so you can have a family maybe move into the house, but grandma and grandpa can stay in a house in the back, or vice versa, however it might work out. But providing a suite of options in neighborhoods to be able to accommodate this aging in place. And so that's the kind of thing as regulators on city councils we need to be considerate of. Think about how we regulate and what opportunity we create for people in their properties. It leads to reinvestment in neighborhoods. All this smart growth stuff is about choices. It's no more complicated than that.